Studio Key is known for their emotional visual novel stories, especially if it involves robot girls. And out of all of them, Stella of the End is their best one yet. Turns out, taking a cynical man who's experienced the harsh realities of a ruined world and pairing him up with a young, bubbly female android is a winning formula. And I went in expecting anime Death Stranding, but what I got was sci-fi The Last of Us. Except instead of zombies, it's robot titans. Jude is an expert courier, a person that transports goods and packages from point A to point B. And on one particular day, he accepts a job from one affluent old man to track down and deliver one special package to him. But what Jude found was a very strange android girl who wants to become human. It was at that moment he realized that this wasn't any ordinary delivery, it's a goddamn escort mission. I think we can all collectively agree that escort missions are a pain in the ass, but it's even worse when the escort starts talking back. There's no doubting what type of person Jude is. Equipped with his survival gear and years of experience under his belt, he is a man who will get the job done. Being a courier means putting his life on the line every single time, traveling across this post-apocalyptic world where dangers lurk around every corner. And the only thing stopping him is a young girl who says killing animals is a big no-no. Filia perfectly embodies the innocent naivety of a person of her appearance. She may be a robot, but she is completely ill-fit as one. No navigational features, no highly intelligent AI software, no exploding finger missiles, just the complete opposite. A small, helpless child, the 2158 equivalent of an iPad kid, playing games on her dad's mobile device. But the worst part of it all is her morally optimistic view of the world. She is someone who innately believes in the good nature of humans and shrinks away at any form of violence. A large contrast from Jude, and in his eyes, it's her thoughtless actions that are gonna get them in hot water. It's only natural for Jude to be on high alert for whatever unpredictable elements come his way. That's just the job. Facing giant mechanical forces in nature, ones with accompanying Nier-esque boss music, is one thing, but dealing with a young girl's rebellious whims is perhaps even worse. I can't even take proper care of myself. I can only imagine how bad Jude has it. Kids, am I right? And yet, it's that clash of beliefs that makes their relationship work so well. Or rather, interesting. Jude and Filia have very strong character personalities, and given how different their values are, makes them argue often. Just seeing their conversations is compelling all the way through, before and after the life-threatening dangers they face. Not only because neither one of them are wrong in their thoughts and principles, but because one has to take precedence over the other at certain situations, regardless of their age. Really, you can't talk about ideals and morals if you're starving to death in the first place. Stella of the End's approach to its world building is fascinating. The visual backgrounds are phenomenal in how colorful and lush they look despite its weathered setting and techno aesthetic. Jude and Filia's journey takes them across abandoned fortresses, desolated cities, to even the distant sea, all of which look vastly different but coherent to the world's setting and color palette. But visuals aren't the only thing, as the best way to learn about this world is to experience the harshness through others. A huge part of this visual novel script is in Jude's headspace. We see him methodically map out his surroundings, taking note of the smallest details around him, and piecing all that information together to react to the situation at hand. Seeing how he navigates and interacts with his environment tells us more about the world than just a simple explanation. It's also noteworthy in how it's viewed from Jude and Filia's perspective. It's one thing to take in a destroyed village, but it paints a more defined picture if Jude is saying to get the hell away from multi-floor buildings. Jude demonstrates his skills to Filia over the course of the story. If he's gonna keep her out of danger, might as well teach her the tools of his trade, at least to some degrees of successfulness. Comedy may happen as a result.
街が危険でいっぱいって言ってる。街の人間だそれは。
It's a clear showcase of a master at work teaching an apprentice, while also showing how strongly defined Jude's character is, down to his goals, his beliefs, and his thoughts. Jude's a careful and calculative man, and leaves no unsettled feeling left ignored. He'll do anything for self-preservation, and that in turn forms how he views the world and humanity at large. Jude's line of work and experience gives him an intensely harsh view of human nature and society as a whole, and he's very critical of them too. To anyone pragmatic as him will relate to his rational survivalist senses. Meanwhile, Filia is out here saying, why? Like a kid asking their parent for an explanation for everything. Well, she's gonna learn today. This naive child won't know the cruelties of the world until it hits her right in the face. Filia's journey of self-discovery, of becoming human, is a huge, ambitious, almost laughable at first idea, and Jude and Filia embody different viewpoints about it. Every single chapter, while on the surface is another leg in Jude and Filia's journey, is its own mini philosophical discussion on certain aspects of human nature. The separation between social classes and reason for, the ruthlessness of survival at any cost, to even a parent's desire to save their children. Where one sees the emotional weight behind it, the other claims it's pure genetic instinct. A real caring parent, this one is. It's both well structured and thematically cohesive. In fact, it seems that for every preconceived optimistic idea Filia has about humans is then immediately invalidated by Jude. He's not a downer every single time, he's just stating the facts. It's all gathered from the decaying state of the world they live in and what's left of it. I do have to say, the author, Romeo Tanaka, is an impressive writer. You might recognize him if you read his other works, Rewrite, Yume Mirai Kisuru, or his most well-known title, Cross Channel. His characters here exert their strong views about the progression of humanity, and those philosophies works its way into Jude and Filia's physical journey and internal character arcs, through both the principle and guidance of the people they meet and the antagonistic forces they face. Filia especially. Everything she experiences with Jude shapes the way she learns and grows. This robot girl may want to become a human, but that also means acknowledging all the follies of humans as well, no matter how cruel it may be. And there's plenty of evidence to prove that. Oh, if life was only that easy. This journey isn't just some walk in the park where the two can casually debate about moral dilemmas. There's a reason why Jude's so risk-averse all the time. He can prepare all he wants, he can have the most high-tech gear, but that means absolutely nothing if your escort is the one willingly walking into danger. Filia might have an auto-repairable robot body, but at Jude's age, he might as well have back pain from how hard he's carrying the two of them. The danger is real, and the story makes you feel it too. There's some pretty tense action scenes in here. Jude is always put on the disadvantage during confrontations, either by pure numbers or robots 100 times his size. And yet, he's always assessing the situation and mapping out his options, until eventually he's able to somehow make it through, scarred and bruised, but alive with Filia. It's pretty exhilarating to watch, and the wild piano sounding off in the background sure sells it. The atmospheric techno-ish music was already a treat for the ears, given the setting vibes, but Tempest, the song that plays during these intense moments, is one hell of a track. We go from one peaceful walk on the beach in one chapter to facing off against enemy combatants in the next. It's a good balance, with the stakes rising the closer they get to their destination. I'm not talking physically, mind you, but Jude's problem about Filia. Her entire existence is a contradiction, and Jude's thinking an awful lot about it, because he can't simply ignore it anymore. Filia is not going to be any help. The girl can't even defend herself properly. He had to give her training wheels first, which begs the question, who made her in the first place? It's a real mind puzzle for Jude. Who designed Filia to be so weak? Who designed Filia to have such sincere, earnest, and innocent emotions? And what makes Filia so important that it's necessary to teach her how to become a human? The complete opposite of what she could possibly achieve as a perfect robot android. It's a dilemma that constantly lies in the back of Jude's mind, not only the mystery of her creation, but how he should treat her, as a package or as an autonomous robot being, or perhaps as a human. Really, Stella the End questions the boundaries between human and machine. Technology is talked about constantly as tools of survival, world-building motifs, or as quirky interests. But it's also used as an important factor of Jude and Filia's relationship. That conscious thought of Filia is an android emphasizes the degree of their trust and association between each other, something we're intensely watching as a balancing act. Lots of gadgets are discussed and they're a helpful tool for Jude, but out of all the technology at his disposal, the most highly developed one is the one crippling him the most. Spending time with Filia is making him weaker, making him double think his situation. A real problem for the logical-minded, objective individual. And yet, ironically enough, it's his own human instincts that's been keeping him alive his whole life. Meanwhile, Filia only ends up becoming more aware of the situation. Her scenes can range from thought-provoking, tense, and even comedic, but underlying all of it, Jude and we, the audience, know the truth of their journey in the first place, and it's only a matter of time before the bubbly young girl finds out. How that will play out is foreboding for sure, but engaging to watch to see what happens. When the story finally revealed the truth, I found the explanation pretty inventive and inspiring, all in accordance to to Stella the End's subtagline too. Some might argue that they can see the ending coming, and I don't blame them given the combination of certain characteristics. However, I find that the experience and execution matters. As much as this is a journey for Filia, it's also one for Jude too. Everything that's happened does have a significant impact on him, whether he likes it or not, and it will eventually steer him to make the right choices. Maybe not the correct ones, but the ones that feel right to him. It's a character arc that becomes very satisfying by its ending. Jude's last deliberation at the very end is a predictable decision, one with severe consequences, but it's packed with struggle and meaning all the way through. Emotional payoff being rewarding, as per the course of a Studio Key visual novel. 5 out of 5 with a seal of recommendation. Now, if you enjoyed that review, consider subscribing to our Patreon if you want to further support the channel and visual novel content. Thanks to everyone for supporting me thus far and into the future. You guys are fantastic. Now, if you want more Studio Key recommendations, check out this video over here or this one over here for a general recommendation. And one final note, sad robot stories may be overdone, but I'm still a sucker for them every single time.